Hey everybody, welcome. We are the FitHealth Pros and this is our pain series, so welcome back. In doing this research on what we're talking about today, which is foot pain, I thought it was going to be neat, easy, put a bow on it, one video, easy.
Right, 2 feet.
Yeah,
Hard
2 feet, 2 feet, one video. It wasn't really happening. There is so much going on with the feet, just like there was with the ankle. Actually, there are more conditions to cause pain in the feet and the toes than pretty much anything I've come across so far in the pain series. So basically, we're going to go through about 3 different videos on the feet. One video is going to be on the toes alone, which is insane. There are like over a dozen different conditions with the toes alone. So we're breaking this apart into parts so that you all can follow along. I am Coach Sean.
I'm Dr. Kevin.
We are the FitHealth Pros.
Yes, we are.
So in talking about the foot, we're talking about a flexible structure of bones, muscles, and joints, and soft tissues which help us to walk, to run, to jump, to stand, basically propel us into life in motion. Today's video we're going to be covering the anatomy of the foot. I'm going to talk a little bit about some different conditions for heel pain, ball of the foot pain, arch pain, and then we'll wrap this one up. The next video is going to be again about toes primarily, and possibly the outer edge of the foot. And then the third video for foot pain is going to be other types of pain, specialists, and injury prevention, right, which we all need for all kinds of different pain. We just don't want to get pain in the first place. So let's jump right into anatomy.
All right. Let's start out with the anatomy of the feet. So there's 3 sections of the foot. We have the forefoot, the midfoot, and then the hindfoot. So on the forefoot, you're going to have your 5 toes. So those are known as the phalanges. And then you also have the 5 longer metatarsal bones. So after the forefoot, you have the midfoot, and that's going to be your pyramid-like collection of bones, and that forms the arch. So you have 3 what's called cuneiform bones. You have a cuboid, and then you also have the navicular bone. The hindfoot makes up the heel and the ankle. So the talus supports the leg bones, and that's going to be the whole ankle. So the talus is the heel and the ankle combined. The calcaneus, which is another word for the heel bone, that's the largest bone in the foot. So that's important to know as well.
Yeah.
There's muscles, tendons, ligaments all throughout the foot, and those are for complex movements. When I was in school going through anatomy, it's amazing how many tendons and little muscles there are in the foot. It's crazy.
All throughout it. Top, bottom, sides.
Right. And then the Achilles tendon, that's at the heel, and that's what runners, when you're jumping, you're standing on your toes, you're flexing and straining that Achilles tendon. So that makes up the anatomy of the foot.
So from the anatomy, we're going to go right into heel pain. First thing I want to talk about with heel pain, we probably could do a whole video on by itself, and we may end up eventually, just because it's so common, and that's plantar fasciitis. Now this is an irritation or inflammation of that thick band of tough connective tissue which connects the heel to the toes. Now you can feel it in the heel and or the arch. So it can really debilitate when that inflammation really comes on strong. It can be worse in the morning. When I was teaching a boot camp class in California on the beach, we had some issues over time from the side-to-side movement as you're running down the beach, and you just don't have that solid ground. So what we would do is we would just rest that person for a week or so and just see if that inflammation would calm down. I also had it from teaching class as well, so I did less running with my clients during that time, just because it had to calm down over time. Over-the-counter meds could also take some of that inflammation down, take the pain down. Special stretches on the foot just to promote blood flow in the region and healing. Arch support with the shoes that you're wearing, and more of a cushioned sole. Say if you're having a consistent pounding on harder surfaces. Next up, I want to talk about heel spurs. Heel spurs are those abnormal bone growths on the kind of the foundation of the heel, right at the base. Now they can come about from an abnormal gait, improper posture, just wearing the wrong shoes. Running can also cause that too. Again, that consistent pounding on the heel bone can cause this pain and cause these heel spurs. Now, what I found was interesting is that most people have bone spurs. Now, most people have them, just not all of them hurt. So if you're the lucky ones that, well, I guess we're lucky if we don't hurt.
Right.
Let's just put it like that. For those that are hurting from bone spurs, you'll feel the pain when you are walking or standing. Now, if you have flat feet or high arches, that could actually raise the likelihood of bone spurs because the force on the particular part of the heel is heightened due to those certain conditions of the feet. Now, if you do have the bone spurs, you can use specific pads for that area, and you just cut out the area of the pad that's going to go over the spur itself, so that gives some cushioning to the surrounding area and keeps pressure directly off that bone spur. And also use special orthotics for the same type of thing. More expensive, of course, but can be necessary to take the pressure off that particular part of the foot as well, in the heel. Can use shock absorbing soles. You can again rest, over-the-counter medications, physical therapy, and if they persist over time and the pain is consistent and persistent, possibly have some surgery to go in there and shave them down and clean up that area as well. Next up, we're going to talk about stone bruises. Again, we're going to be listing a lot of stuff over these videos. We're just giving a lot of information in these. Stone bruises are a deep bruise from impact or stepping on a hard object or a stone. It kind of feels like you're walking on a pebble. You know, every step that you take, you're going to be, it just feels like something is digging into that area of your heel. These can go away over time. It's a bruise, so it will go away over time. You can rest. You can utilize ice. Again, over-the-counter medications can take down that inflammation and that pain a little bit as well. You may still feel the irritation, but you won't have that pain shooting up. Last but not least, when we're talking about heels, we're going to talk about a heel fracture. Now, this is much more heavy duty because, especially in the calcaneus itself, with it being the largest bone in the foot, when it gets hurt, it can throw everything off. With a heel fracture, now this is a break. It's from a high impact injury, it's from a fall or an accident. Now it can be a break, so you just have a nice little crack in the calcaneus, very painful, but it's clean. Or the calcaneus itself can shatter from the impact, which, man, when I read more about that, I've had a lot of injuries over time of sports and things, and I am really, really happy that I never had that injury. So I'm sorry for those folks out there that have had a shattered heel bone. Now, you'll have bruising, you'll have swelling, you'll have trouble walking. You may need some crutches. If you can put some pressure on it, they're probably going to make sure that you have some heel pads kind of stuck to your heel so that it takes some of that impact out with every step. They may splint it, they may cast it, they may have you in a walking boot. Right. Again, you can sometimes use over-the-counter medications, but they may prescribe you something more heavy duty. Right. Because this is an intense pain, especially if you go into shatter mode. They'll have you do some physical therapy to kind of teach you how to walk as you heal. And again, if it's really bad, surgery. They got to put those bones back together somehow. And The podiatrists, those people doing the surgeries,
Right.
amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness the heel's that big bone, and
It can take a lot of impact.
Yeah.
So we're talking a very, very high impact injury if you're going to be shattering that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So a lot in the heel, obviously. Everybody, when they're walking, they use the heel. The ball of the foot, that midfoot. So here's some issues that we find in the ball of the foot. The first one's called metatarsalgia. So the metatarsals are after the toes. So you have the tarsals and then the metatarsals. I'm showing you my hand, but
It's really a foot. He has a foot for a hand, which is pretty cool.
Look at the picture above or below us instead of me doing this. All right, the first one's metatarsalgia. That's going to be involving the tarsals, algia's pain. So pain in the metatarsals. Obviously, when there's pain, there's going to be inflammation. It can come about from ill-fitting shoes, also running and jumping. Any strenuous activity where you're putting some pressure, maybe even repetitive type of pressure on that foot. It feels and expresses itself very similar to the stone bruise, that Sean mentioned. What do you want to do to take care of that? Well, you could take some over-the-counter pain medication to start with. You're going to want to rest that, put some ice on it. Look at changing your shoe, maybe a more comfortable shoe, especially if you're having the pain. That's going to, help at least get you around. And then inserts can relieve the pressure. The next one for the midfoot or ball of the foot, Morton's Neuroma. So you may have heard of this. Let me give you the what happens when you have a Morton's Neuroma. So there's a thickening of the tissues around the nerves between the base of the toes. So again, keeping in mind the picture, around the base of the toes, usually the third and the fourth toe, that then compresses those nerves. You're going to feel pain. Numbness is now associated with that. It's more common in women, and possibly from wearing high heels, tight shoes, any of those narrow shoes. Unfortunately, fashion comes with a price.
Yes. Yes.
But
we can tell our clients till we're blue in the face that it's not the wisest choice, but it's billions of dollars every year in fashion. So
right.
You're not just going to tell somebody not to be fashionable, and that's their right.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you have the Morton's Neuroma, you are going to be considering inserts again, over-the-counter medications, get rid of the narrow toe box, a wider shoe, rest, and then from the medical aspect, if it's really bad, they'll start with a steroid shot and then possible surgery. All right. Now there's some. Let's do the last one. Sesamoiditis. So sesamoid bones, two bones near the big toe, are the sesamoid bones. They're connected only by tendons, and so sesamoiditis, the itis is inflammatory process, where the algia from the metatarsalgia is pain, sesamoiditis is the inflammation. So now you have tendons that are inflamed, usually from an injury. It is a form of tendonitis. So from a medical standpoint, they do like to do the steroid shots for that. It's very common in runners, it's common in ballet dancers, so you can kind of envision those stresses and pressures that they put on their feet, on how that comes about. If you have that, you're again going to want to rest, you're going to want to ice. You can use the foot pads on that area. Immobilize the big toe. This is interesting because it's those tendons near the big toe. So if you can immobilize that, then that tendon is relaxed a little bit.
Sure, take that pressure off.
Again, low heel shoes we're recommending, low heel shoes. And then I think I did mention the steroid injection. So the common theme so far, and it's probably in the arch pain that Sean will do next, is these inserts. And I think that now that we've said inserts or orthotics
so
enough
many times,
we'll probably do a whole nother video on it just for that one. But just the quick basis of it, it's going to put pressure against the proper arches of the foot. So there's actually 3 arches. A lot of people think, oh, I need an arch support, that's my one big arch, and I'm just
Taken care of.
that. You know, you go over to the grocery store and you put that in there and that's fine. But it's actually 3 arches. If you do support the 3 arches, that puts pressure and allows it to spread out. So all of the stress and pressure on the foot is then more balanced, and you'll find that you'll have a way more platform-like feeling. So where you're more stability in your gait and in your walk if you do use those type of things.
That's interesting stuff, folks.
Yes.
This Dr. Kevin Fox.
So if you like that,
If you like that, please like the video, subscribe to us. We have plenty more where that comes from, but this is the kind of stuff that, you know, through time with education and experience, we know some stuff, so hopefully we can help you out. Last but not least, we're going to talk about arch pain.
Right.
Now, I'm just going to throw out a couple things with arch pain, and one of them we've already touched upon. The first one is plantar fasciitis again, which I talked about a little bit in terms of heel pain. Now, plantar fasciitis is the most common type of arch pain. Again, it can affect the heel, it can affect the arch, or it can affect both. So you can just imagine, and a lot of you out there don't have to imagine, just the type of irritation and the daily pain that you have when this plantar fasciitis is in full red-hot inflammation. It is an overuse injury, and because I talked about, you know, this so much earlier, I'll just kind of tell you one of the things that, if persistent, it can be remedied by a combo steroid / local anesthetic injection. Now, this is when it gets there. They will generally do this if it's really bad. If it's been hanging in for quite a while, if you've rested, if you've iced, if you've done everything within your power to calm this down, and it's just not going to calm down, they'll more than likely go this route. Yeah. Last I'm going to talk about today are fallen arches, commonly known as flat feet. Now, this is when the arches flatten out when you're either walking or standing. You know, it's going to cause pain over time. At the end of the day, I've had clients that have it, and their feet just hurt at the end of the day because there is just no heel-toe balance. The whole foot is smacking down every single time that they take a step. So it's really hard to run, it's hard to jump, it's hard to be an active person when you have flat feet. And it really affects that kinetic chain going up from the feet up into the ankle, into the knee, into the hips and the back. So oftentimes people with flat feet will have other things going on too, but it's all based out of their foundation at the feet.
right? Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot that can go on from flat feet. Now, that line from the ankle to the knee ends up shifting, and of course when that does that, then that puts a lot of pressure on the knee. Mm-hmm. And then you change your gait, right. And then it goes into the hip because you change your gait, and then that starts hurting, and then you change your gait, and then it goes into the back. So that is the kinetic chain, and that kind of shows you the progression from your base and how it can affect everything into the rest of your body, and it can keep going up. But I'm not going to belabor that point. So in order to kind of remedy flat feet, it's a structural issue. So you know you kind of have it when you have it. But you can utilize inserts, you can rest your feet a little more, try not to stand in one spot for too long, or walk or hike for miles and miles and miles, unless you have proper footwear or inserts that can relieve the pressure of having those flat feet. But even then, they may end up being sore afterwards. Again, rest, ice, possibly a cane if it gets really bad, a brace, possibly physical therapy to kind of teach you how to walk correctly as you have this condition. If it gets really bad, if the pain is to the point where you can't walk, right. Surgery could definitely be on the table for that as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that is our part one for the foot pain. Now, we did talk about the anatomy, ball of the foot pain, heel pain, and some arch pain. What we want to know, and I was just thinking about this, is out of those things, what would you like to know more about? What would you like us to take a deeper dive on?
Awesome.
Because I'm already thinking of, geez, we could get 10, 15 minutes out of helping people. I'm thinking of some things with the fallen arches, plantar fasciitis, heel spurs. Let us know. But we'll definitely, when we put this together, again, like Sean said, this is a series where we provide you the base of our knowledge. So then you guys can feed back with us, and then we can kind of take it from there.
Yeah.
And I think our goal is to help as many people as we can with these conditions, and it's going to really, really be beneficial for us to communicate back and forth, and we promise to do that with you guys.
Yeah.
So part two, follow us again for part two. So you got to subscribe, number one, and then you also have to hit that bell and get the notifications.
Bing.
So yeah, that's what it'll do.
Just like that.
And so part two, we're going to go into, I think it's all toes, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much all toes. There's a lot going on with the toes and how they can be hurt and how they can cause pain.
I'm guessing that everybody has at least one of the 10 plus toe conditions that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And again, we'll kind of do a broad base informative video on that, and I hope you enjoy it. So I am Dr. Kevin.
I'm Coach Sean.
We're the FitHealth Pros, and keep watching us, keep learning.
Yeah, thanks for following us on this journey.
Yes.
We love having you.
Have a good one. Toe for hands.
We got toes for hands.